Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I accidentally switched the host to Kamini Kumar Mataji. Mataji, can you please make Simheshwar Prabhu the host? Kamini.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, how do I do?
Now your icon and then more. Um, you should
More
be able to see make
security,
host.
security meeting background effect. What
No,
should I do?
no, on the participants list. Go to Prabhuji.
Okay.
Just right click. Motherji, just right click on your name, or then go to my name, Simheshwar Das. Right click there, Simheshwar Das. Just right click there,
Okay, Prabhu.
and then say make host.
Make host. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
You want to change the host? Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
No problem. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, dear devotees, for joining today. So let's begin our section. Om Jnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilidam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stabidam Yena Bhudale Swayam Rupa Kadamaiham Dadadi Supadandigam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Udapadagambalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajadam Sahagana Raghunadhanidam Dam Sajivam Sadhvaidam Savadudam Parijana Sahidam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padhan Sahagana Lalidam Shri Vishakhanidamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpade Gopesha Gopika Kanda Radha Kanda Namostude Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sude Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhasya Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Padidana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. So we'll begin our class. Today we are covering chapter 7, the knowledge of the absolute. So in the last section, we were going through the yesterday's class, Dhyana Yoga. The Dhyana Yoga, the last verse. Yoginam abhi sarveshu madgadendra atmana shraddhavan bhajade yoma same yukta tamo madaha. One who understands me, one who knows me, will be fully conscious of me and worship me with the full heart. Such a yogi is always unites with me. That's what Krishna says. So this is the culmination of the entire 6 chapters that starting from the Karma Yoga to Dhyana Yoga. There is a culmination. So that's basically the beginning of Bhakti Yoga. So then Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, the culmination of all kinds of yoga practices lies in Bhakti Yoga. So any yoga means to come to that Bhakti Yoga. Yoga means Bhakti Yoga. All the other yogas are meant to come to the point of Bhakti in Bhakti Yoga. Yoga actually means Bhakti Yoga. All other yogas are progressions towards the destination of Bhakti Yoga. From the beginning of Karma Yoga to the end of Bhakti Yoga is a long way to self-realization. Karma Yoga, without fruitive results, is the beginning of this path. So that's what we went through the 6 chapters. When Karma Yoga increases in knowledge and renunciation, the stage is called Jnana Yoga. That means when we have understanding what we are trying to do, then that brings to a person to the Jnana Yoga, in the path of knowledge. When the Jnana Yoga increases in meditation on the super soul by different physical processes, that's what yesterday we were going through, and the mind is on him, that was Krishna was saying that, always full of conscious of me. It is called Ashtanga Yoga or Dhyana Yoga. And when one surpasses the Ashtanga Yoga and comes to the point of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, It is called Bhakti Yoga. See that this is a progressional path. We are Karma Yoga, then understanding that Karma Yoga, that's karma, the activities, which has to be a sacrifice to the Supreme Lord. Then we come to the understanding why we have to do that. Then we come to the knowledge, second part of it. Then we control that how we can perfectly situate in that conscious. That comes to the stage of Ashtanga Yoga. Then one surpasses that Ashtanga Yoga. Then he comes to the final stage is called Bhakti Yoga. Actually, Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate goal. But to analyze Bhakti Yoga minutely, one has to understand these other yogas. The yogi who is progressive is therefore on the true path of eternal good fortune. So the yogi is in a good fortune in the progressive path. He has good fortune. One who sticks to a particular point and does not make any further progress is called by that particular name, like Karma Yogi. Is that I'm a Karma Yogi. Can we please put on mute? Jnana Yogi and Dhyana Yogi, Raja Yogi, Hatha Yogi, etc. That means they stop there. Then they does not make any further. That's why we call them Jnana Yogi, because they are knowledgeable, but they don't make further progress on that. Raja Yogi, right? So there are certain steps, and there is Hatha Yogi. There is Ashtanga Yogas, and then various things. So they stop there. Then they don't make further progress. Then we call them. But one who comes to the devotional platform, understanding and surpasses all this and comes to the final point, we call them Bhakti Yogi or a pure devotee of the Lord. If one is fortunate enough to come to the point of Bhakti Yoga, it is to be understood that he has surpassed all the other yogas. So, dear devotees, this is called the Yoga Aruda stage, right? Comes to that. The devotional service, the Bhakti Yoga, that means he surpassed all the other yogas. He is not a Karma Yogi. He knows what is the activities, what is the purpose of the karma, and then he connects that all the activities to the Supreme. Then he comes to the knowledge. And in that knowledge, he knows that why I'm having this knowledge to worship the Supreme Lord, to understand the Supreme Lord, to realize the Supreme Lord, and realize who I am. These are all part of the Jnana Yoga. Then he performs his activities accordingly and regulate himself, and he conscious of the mind. He is Ashtanga Yogi, Dhyana Yogi. Then he still not stop there. That means the Bhakti Yogi surpasses all this. So all the qualities of other yogas are actually can be seen in Bhakti Yogi. So therefore, to become Krishna conscious is the highest stage of yoga. Just as when we speak of Himalayan, we refer to the world's highest mountain, of which the highest peak, Mount Everest, is considered to be the culmination. So the understanding is when we see yoga, the ultimate of the yoga is the Bhakti Yoga. So whenever we say yoga, that means to come to the stage of Bhakti Yoga. Then we come to there are different ways that it explains that. Yasya deva para bhaktar yada deve tada guru tasya de karidakhi artha pragashande mahatmanaha. Only unto those great souls who have implicit faith in both the Lord and the spiritual master are all the imports of Vedic knowledge automatically revealed. Bhakti means loving devotional service to the Lord, which free from the desires of material profit. So there are many ways that the Bhakti Yoga explains. So we are entering into the beginning of understanding what is Bhakti Yoga. And in order to come to that stage, Bhakti Yoga, then we have to understand that whom we should have that unflinching faith, unconditional faith. And that is called, we come to the chapter called the knowledge of the Absolute. So in this chapter, which Krishna reveals that. So in the 7.1 explains that this all knowledge about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which I titled as knowledge of the Absolute. And then this is a progression from the last verse of the 6th chapter. And Krishna reveals that concentrate on him in full faith, right? So this is the beginning of Bhakti Yoga. How do we start the Bhakti Yoga? Focus upon him, conscious on him, focus your mind upon him. Then how do we develop that faith? Faith comes from the knowledge. Like just for an example, suppose a stranger we met a stranger. We don't know anything about him. How do we develop confidence and faith in him? Whether he's a good person or good character, he behaves nicely or badly. How do we know him? But eventually, when we know about him, we hear from somebody else, we hear from some other person, the very close, resources, and then we come to know him. Then we develop that faith in him, right? Then we make friendship with him. Then we progress that, and we make more friendship, very intimate friendship with him. Then we start to trust him. Then we start to reveal our confidence with him and reveal our, all very intimately, we associate with him. That's what it is, we make close friends. Then some days, we go further and further. Then we, some point of time, we see that, he's not different from me and he is the ultimate of me. There are so many ways we develop that faith. So when we know about him, then only that we develop that faith. Like that, dear devotees, when we know about the Supreme Lord, we develop that faith and we develop that intimacy, that friendship, that then we develop that, the close association, then we develop that confidence, and then we develop very intimacy with the Supreme Lord. So it's very, very important to understand, in order to begin the bhakti to the Supreme Lord, we need to know that who is that person that we can trust, we can have the faith. So knowledge is very important. So without knowledge, one may doubt Krishna's position. That's what is happening in this world. Many people, have very poor fund of knowledge about the Supreme Lord. Why? Because of they just kind of illusioned by this material world, and because of that, they don't have an opportunity to come to the understanding of Krishna. Therefore, chapter 7 to 12, Krishna presents the knowledge of himself. Krishna reveals himself. So that's why this, in this chapter 7 to 12, there is a chapter. Next chapter is called the Attaining the Supreme. The ninth chapter is called the Most Confidential Knowledge. The most confidential knowledge, then the opulences of the Absolute and the universal form and the devotional services. So culminate with that, what a person supposed to do. So it's begin with this seventh chapter. Then the first words of this chapter stresses on hearing. So how we can develop this knowledge, and unless and until we hear about the Supreme Lord, we will not develop the knowledge, understanding. So then we will go to that, the first verse of it. So here, and also in this chapter, and their chapter is divided by certain sections. So it's sections by section. So the first section is known as 7:1 to 7:3. It's mentioned that just here, knowing about the Supreme Lord. Then here, Krishna requests Arjuna to hear both his material and spiritual energies, and declares that transcendentals who succeeds in truly knowing him is the most rare. So in this section, that Krishna is telling Arjuna to know about him and how hear about him. So Krishna reveals himself to Arjuna so that Arjuna can understand who he is. So then section 2 is knowing Krishna's material and spiritual energies. And we go further, that who is that Supreme Lord? And we understand, we hear from himself that Krishna's material and spiritual energies. And in that section, we will learn Krishna is the source of both matter and spirit. And also, Krishna can be seen in the world when we view all existence as combination of Krishna's material and spiritual energies. He is also active essence of everything. So we'll come to learn to that point, the essence of everything. Then we come to the third section, is called Krishna controls the modes. So surrender. So Krishna is the controller of everything. So why we are holding up. So we will see that in that section. Then section 4, there are 4 kinds of people who surrenders unto the Lord, and 4 kinds of people never surrenders unto the Lord. So that's why impious never surrender. So then we will also learn from that section who is going to surrender, who is not going to surrender to Krishna. Could you please mute, dear devotees? It's kind of little disturbances. And then we come to the section 5, the surrender to demigods and impersonalism. And those who are deluded by these modes of nature, they goes to the surrender to the demigods and impersonalists. So we'll also see that how it is differentiated from surrendering unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then we come to the stage, the last section of it, bewilderment and freedom by knowing Krishna. Bewilderment and then freedom by knowing Krishna. Then we free from all these contaminations and entanglements just by knowing Krishna. So we'll go into the first section of this chapter, so which is a section 1 is knowing Krishna by hearing about him. So it's very important. So then we come to the first two verse as Krishna telling to Arjuna, Sri Bhagavan Vacha, the Supreme Personality of Souls, God had said, Mai asakta mana partha yogam yunjam madasrayaha asamshayam samagram ma yada jnanas jnasyadi tatrano. Translation, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, now hear, O son of Pratha, how by practicing yoga in full conscious of me, with the mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt. So dear devotees, Krishna is revealing to Arjuna that how one can know about Krishna. In the Srila Rupa Goswami mentioned this in the Nectar of Devotion, that Ada Sri Krishna Namadi na bhaved na indriya sevan mukhohi jikhvadu swayameva spurutiyada. We cannot understand by our indriyas, by our senses or blunt senses. Say indriya na bhaved na indriya. With our senses and the mind, we cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But sevan mukhohi jikhvadu. But when one surrenders, one gives one engages into the loving devotional service unto the Supreme, then Swayameva Spuratiyata, Lord Himself reveals to such devotees. So here, Krishna is also revealing to Arjuna that how one can understand Krishna fully. That how Krishna says that? Here, first thing is hear from Him. Then second, practice bhakti yoga. Then attach the mind to Him and in full conscious of Him. So this is the conclusion of the last verse of the last, the 6th chapter. So unless and until we put our focus mind upon the Supreme Lord, then we cannot understand Him fully. So here Krishna is revealing that secret. So it's very, very important that we always take that in our heart, right? So then there are a few points we can reveal here. The full and the scientific knowledge of Krishna is is knowing about the Supreme Lord as Paramatma. Then in full means to know absolute truth, living entity, material nature, and their manifestations and paraphernalia. So why Krishna is revealing here, okay, you will come to know full knowledge of me. So that's what is the focal point also in this chapter. That means Krishna is revealing and hear from Him and full conscious of Him, then we can understand Him. So in full means that is all paraphernalia, is all energies, various aspects of Krishna. It's not that when we say Krishna, it's not that just one person. Everything about Krishna is also Krishna. So this is what it is when we say here full knowledge of Him means that we understand fully and all His various energies. Then Krishna also says that without doubt, you will understand full, that without doubt. What does that means? That full faith in Krishna. That means the firm faith that Krishna is the ultimate knowledge and realization. So we have so much of doubts we have, dear devotees, every day, we don't have full faith. We always have some doubt here and there whether Krishna is the Supreme Lord, whether this material nature, Prakriti is, and Krishna come from this Prakriti or the Brahman, or, what is this, and Krishna has a form or not. So many questions or doubt all we have. But when we hear from Him, from His pure devotees, we'll come out from that, then we'll completely free from the illusion that when we come to the 18th chapter, Arjuna, after hearing from Krishna, right, fully, and Arjuna was, when Krishna asked Arjuna that, Arjuna, your doubts have been, eliminated. So then Arjuna completely told to Krishna that, yes, O Lord, Nashta Moga Smrdalabdha, my illusions have been gone. So dear devotees, because of our illusions, we have so much of questions and doubt. We still not have the complete faith in Him. So then what happens when we hear from him, that's a chapter, knowledge of the absolute, then we come to that ultimate knowledge and realization. And that is the full knowledge of him. Then in the previous words, that Krishna conscious process reveals full knowledge, that it reveals in the Bhagavad Gita 6th chapter 47th verse. Then we understand process to concentrate mind. So what are the process of concentrate mind? That ninefold processes, that is Ravana, Kirtana, Vishnu, Smarana. So the first process is to hear. That's the ultimate of this ninefold process. Hearing is the ultimate. So when hearing, then only that we can concentrate our mind. Then we ask this question, whom to hear from? And then we should hear from Krishna, only Krishna, or pure devotee, not non-devotee or a scholar. Like why that is reveals here, and Srila Prabhupada also mentions here, because Srila Prabhupada always says that a milk touched by a serpent has a poisonous effect. So like that, when a non-devotee touches this transcendental knowledge, it has some poisonous effect. It has always contaminated or poisonous effect that. So then we should not take it. That can also pollute us. So similarly, we should not hear from a non-devotee. We should always hear from the Supreme Lord himself. That's what we are trying to do, from the Krishna or his pure devotees like Srila Prabhupada. So we are going with exactly like Bhagavad Gita as it is that Krishna spoke, and also the pure devotee of the Lord Srila Prabhupada. Then only we can understand. So then it purifies us. Then we will come to that ultimate knowledge. So then there is a process of understanding Krishna. So there are various ways that, and also it gives us lots of benefits that hearing Krishna. What is that benefits? There are steps for advancements are hearing about Krishna or from him. That's the first step. Then such hearing Krishna in the heart acts as the best wishing friend. Dear devotees, this is the benefit or prayojana. So when we hear about Krishna, hear attentively about Krishna. So then such hearing Krishna in the heart acts as the best wishing friend. And as in the 5th chapter says that Bhoktara Megya Tabasa Sarva Sugurdam Sarva Bhudanam Yatwamam Shandinuchadi. Bhoktara Megya Sabatsam Sarva Loka Maheshinam. He is the Lord of all the Lords. Sugurdam Sarva Bhutanam. He is the best friend and best wishing friend. So by hearing that, what happens? Our dormant, our ignorance will be removed, and then we can understand and realize the Supreme Lord in our heart, and we will see that he is the best wishing friend. It will all come out in the heart. Then the another advantage of Krishna purifies the devotees who is constantly engaged. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that, Param Vijayade Sri Krishna Sankirtana. That means one who chants the holy name, hear about him, Sravana Kirtana, Smarana Vandana. Then what happened? Chedo Darpana Marjanam. It purifies the dust of the mirror of the heart. So it cleans, it purifies our heart. Then what happens? Natural development for dormant transcendental knowledge. So knowledge is there. Our eternal nature is Sat Chit Ananda. Sat means eternity, Chit means full of knowledge, and Ananda means bliss. So this knowledge is also there. But because of our impurities, it's dormant. It's sleeping there. It's hidden there. But hearing about Krishna is naturally develop our dormant transcendental knowledge. It sprouts, that transcendental knowledge sprouts. Then we can understand, and we come to the stage of ultimate, we can know Krishna in fully. Then the other advantage, freedom from modes of passion and ignorance. So most of our problem, we are so much attached to this material world with our passion and ignorance. Then we can free from it. Then material lust and our eyes are diminished. I mean, we are so eagerly and so much disease and unwanted disease in this material world, which leads to all our destruction. But we don't know. When we don't know, we don't not even care about it. But when we hear about him, when we understand, hear Shravanam and Kirtanam, then what happens? This all can be, we can free from all our unwanted disease. It will all be diminished. Then one becomes steady in pure goodness. So that's called Shuddha Sattva. So in order to come to the pure devotional platform, one should come to that stage called Sattva. Sattva means mode of goodness. And the pure goodness is called the Shuddha Sattva. So one will leads to come to that stage of pure goodness. Then one becomes enlivened by devotional service and understand the science of God perfectly. See that? The benefits of one can come to the pure devotional service and then enlivened by devotional service and understand the science of God. So, dear devotees, because of our impurities and contaminations, we cannot, so however we hear, like many times we hear that there are devotees, there are people, those who are hearing this for 20 years, 25 years, but still they cannot understand, still they are in the doubt and they always questions about, they still don't know who is the Lord. So, but when we have this attentive, focused, then we hear, then one we can become come to that stage of understanding the Supreme Lord. Then hard knot of material affection is severed. So we are tied very, very severely in this world. We are tied because of our material attachment. That is actually severed the knot, the bandhan, right? The bandhan that we are all bound by it. So it is cut into pieces. Then one comes to the stage of asamshayam samagram, complete understanding of Supreme Lord. So devotees, this is where we have to reach. So, in the conclusion of this, one way to understand science of Krishna by hearing from Krishna and from his devotees. So the conclusion is that to understand Krishna is that to hear from him or from his pure devotees. So this is the benefit of when we go with this understanding. So then we come to the second verse of this chapter. It says that Jnanam deham sarva vijnanam idam vakshyami aseshadaha yajnatva anega bhuyo anyat jnatvayam avashikshyate. I shall now declare unto you in full this knowledge. This is actually titled as knowledge of the absolute, both phenomenal and numinous. This is being known, nothing further shall remain for you to know. Dear devotees, when we hear this chapter, that's why it's beginning of this Bhakti Yoga. When we have this knowledge, full knowledge of the Krishna, then that develop the Bhakti for him. Bhakti means loving devotional service. So in this chapter also, which reveals Jnana and Vijnana, always we have this doubt. What is Jnana? Jnana means phenomenal knowledge. Phenomenal knowledge means the knowledge of this material nature. And then also there is Vijnana, that is the spiritual knowledge or numinous knowledge, the knowledge of the absolute, knowledge of the Supreme Lord, knowledge of that spirit, that's called the Vijnan and the Gyan. So then we come to the points here, and it says that, see, the definition of complete knowledge or transcendental knowledge, or that's called Vijnan, is to know the matter, spirit, and the source of the both. So when we know about Krishna means we have to know about everything about this matter, the spirit and the source of where it's come from, how it is generating, how it is manifesting. All we have to know, right? So this chapter reveals that. And this, about the knowledge of Krishna means reveals all this. Then why and what is the quality that one can listen, one can hear this, one can get this? Eligibility of Arjuna means Arjuna is a devotee and a friend. That's Bhakto Swame Sakha Chedi. So that's in the fourth chapter also, Krishna reveals this to Arjuna. Arjuna saying, that Arjuna, you are my dear friend and a devotee. That's why I'm revealing all this to you. So by hearing that we can become a devotee, then we are full eligible to understand more and more about Krishna. So then what is the qualification to receive transcendental knowledge? The devotee, and one has to be a devotee, and only a devotee can understand the devotees. That's in the Brahma Samhita. Brahma says that, right? Advaidam achyudam anadi mananda rupam adyam purana purusham navayavanam kya vedesha durlabham adurlabham atma bhaktau govindam adi purusham tamakam bhajami. Even it is very difficult to understand vedesha durlabham. Vedesha durlabham. Even Vedas, by knowing the Vedas, we cannot fully understand Krishna. But Vedesha durlabham adurlabham atma bhakta. But my devotees can understand me fully. So that's why we had to, the qualification of understanding Krishna or transcendental knowledge fully is that one should become a devotee and also initiated in a bona fide parampara or disciplic succession, and also directly from the Lord. So it always says that by the mercy of the devotee, we get a Lord, and by the mercy of the Lord, we get the devotee. So the mercy of the Lord, kripa, we need to have. So when we have the mercy of the Lord, we get the devotees, and by the mercy of the devotees, we get the Lord. So in this, the numinous and the phenomenal knowledge, and Krishna also revealing that there is nothing remain to be known. What does that means? This phrase in translation means that when one who knows who is the source of all and cause of all the causes, and the only object of meditation is of all yogis, then all knowledge becomes known. So dear devotees, if one knows that who is the source of all the cause of all the causes, who is the cause of all the causes, sarva karana karanam, who is the cause and the cause and the cause. That means there is many times we say cause and cause. That means karya karanam, the cause and the effect. So we should understand that the Supreme Lord is the cause, the karana, and the Supreme Lord also the karya, the effect also the Supreme Lord. So if one knows that the source of all, and then the cause of all the causes, and the object of meditation of all yogis, all the very transcendental pure devotees whose object is who, and who is the cause of all the causes, and what is the source of all those. If one knows that, then there is nothing remains to be known. So the devotee is that the greatest of all. That's a pure devotee. When a pure devotee comes to that platform, that's why it's in the 19th verse of this chapter says that, Vasudevam sarvamidim saha mahatma sudurlabha. Vasudevam sarvamidim. Such devotees, this is very, very rare. And such Vasudevam sarvamidi saha mahatma sudurlabha. So such devotees, the Supreme Lord is everything. And such devotees, then very rare to see as well. Then we come to the third verse. Here it is revealing that who is that, right? There such devotees are very rare. Manushyanam sahasreshu kachit yadadi siddhaye yadadam abhisiddhanam kachit mameti tatvadaha. Out of many thousand among men, one may endeavor for perfection. And of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. So in the previous verses, we could say that only devotee can understand him. Only by the mercy of the devotees, one can hear, or the disciplic succession, or we can hear from the Supreme Lord. But such people are very rare. We know that there are close to 8 billion people in this planet Earth, but how many are actually really come to this Krishna consciousness, or how many are there really knows about it? That's what is exactly revealing here. Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection. And out of those who have achieved perfection, hardly knows me in truth. So that's what is Bahunam Janmanam Ande Jnanavan Mam Prabhatyande Vasudevam Sarvamidi Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. Such devotees are very rare. So dear devotees, and if you have that this opportunity to hear about him, is that we are all that good. We have very great fortune. That's why we are able to sit here and listen, hear about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then it is revealing the rarity of knowledge, right? And who is qualified to receive this knowledge? That out of many thousand, one may endeavor for perfection. Out of many, many thousands of, and out of that, many, many thousands of people, one who endeavor for perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. Only hardly, very rare. So this rarity is revealing here. And then such people then come to that understanding that then come to understand that come to the understanding that the Krishna is everything. So who can know? Only pure devotees by devotional service can know Krishna in truth. So it's very important that Bhakti Yoga, why the Bhakti is important? Because of only one who comes to that stage of Bhakti can know Krishna. Then they say, can they know fully? Only something of the inconceivable transcendental qualities, right? They can, even those who are coming, they only can know, hardly once knows me in truth. That means, then one who really come to the pure devotional platform only can understand Krishna fully. Then, there is different ways to process to know that, by the loving devotional service. So devotional service to Krishna is the last word in Brahman realization. So unless and until we come to the devotional service is the last word. The Brahman, there is a Param Brahman. Brahman is all pervading aspect of the Lord. Then there is also the Param Brahman. Param Brahman is that the Supreme Lord, that his name is known as Krishna. So one who performs the loving devotional service to the Supreme Lord, that Param Brahman, then that he comes to that the highest stage of that realization. Then what about impersonalists? And then whatever Paramatma realized yogis and demigods, do they know about that Krishna fully? No, they fail to understand Krishna, right? Because of they are actually not into that highest platform. So only the very many life after Bahunam Janmanam, then one comes to this platform, because of in that platform Vasudevam Sarvamiti, that devotee understand that Vasudev means the son of Vasudev. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva. This is the word that which Srimad Bhagavatam begins with. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vasudeva means the son of Vasudev. That means that the Krishna. So Vasudev Krishna. So when one comes to that stage in the pure devotional platform, he only can understand that the Vasudev Krishna is Samahatma, is Vasudeva Sarvamidam. He is everything for such devotees, right? So this is the first section of that hearing about Krishna. Then how one can know about Krishna. So one who comes to the pure devotional platform can understand Krishna fully. Then we come to the second section, that knowing Krishna's material and spiritual energies. So this is, now we are getting more deeper into it, right? Now we are hearing about Krishna and what is the advantage of it, and who comes to that proper understanding of Krishna. Now we are getting more deeper into it, that understanding Krishna's spiritual and material energies. So in the next 9 verses, Krishna explained that he is the source of both material and spiritual energies. So that's why it's very important that we hear from Krishna. Unless and until we hear from Krishna, we do not understand. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport that, so if one wants to know about the Supreme Lord, it's very best that we should hear directly from him. Nobody else can reveal such a deep knowledge, deep realization and understanding. Only Krishna can reveal. That's why it's very important we hear from him. So then in this section, we will learn that Krishna is the source of all the potencies. Krishna consciousness is active in every sphere, and the jurisdictions of Krishna consciousness extends everywhere. And one who knows Krishna conscious is blessed. Those who do not know Krishna are in illusion. And so knowledge of Krishna is liberation, and ignorance of him is bondage. The devotees, listen this very carefully. The knowledge of Krishna is liberation, and ignorance of him is bondage. That's why we are repeatedly taking birth again and again in this world, because of our ignorance. The ignorance causes the bondage. That's why in the Vedanta, it's mentioned that asadoma sadgamaya tamasoma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amridam gamaya. That means lead me from this death. Ignorance means death or darkness. Tamasoma jyotirgamaya, from this darkness from the ignorance to the darkness to the light, the knowledge. So that's where we come to this stage. Then here, the 7.4, 4th verse, 5th verse, and 6th and 7th verse, as we know that Bhagavad Gita explains that main 5 subject matter. The main 5 subject matter is Ishvara and the Jiva, then the Karma, then the Kala, and the material nature. So here in the 7.4 verse, the material nature is explained. So here Krishna says that Bhumirapo nalo vayu kam manobuddhirevacha ahangaram idhiyam me bhinna prakrdrashtadaha. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego, all together these 8 constitute my separated material energies. So always remember that separated material energy, that doesn't mean that it exists separately. Okay, this is Krishna's separated energy. Krishna's energy, Krishna's separated energy is considered as this is an inferior in energy. It is separated in energy, but it is the inferior in nature. That's why it's known as there are 2 energies. One is called Paraprakriti and another is called Aparaprakriti. Paraprakriti is the superior nature. Aparaprakriti is the inferior nature. Right? Para and Apara. Krishna has 2 natures. One is Paraprakriti and Aparaprakriti. Aparaprakriti is what we see in this material world, and which consists of this the constitutes of this material energy this is the 8 elements which we mentioned: Bhumi, earth, water, fire, air, ether, intelligence, mind, intelligence, and false ego. So then these 8 elements expand into 24 elements. These 24 elements known as Mahatattva. And as we know as that 5 gross elements, 3 subtle elements, and 10 senses, and then the working senses, and 5, and 15 plus 8, 23, and then modes of material nature, and that consists of 24 Mahatattva, or the great principle. So these 8 elements constitute this 24 great elements. So this entire material nature constitutes of this Mahatattva. And where it's come from? This is Krishna's inferior energy, or Apara Prakriti. So then we come to the understanding of, in great details of the study, that the material science, there are many people are actually very much conscious of this material science. They study about 105 elements, and then they come with so many things, right? And then philosophers, they deal with only the mental activities. They just then we know that there are gross bodies: earth, water, fire, air, ether. The scientists, empirical philosophers, scientists. Then we have mind, intelligence, and ego. And it is also there. It is also material energy. Our mind works, and the material energy captures the mind first. Intelligence is there. The false ego is there. So can you please put on a mute? I think somebody is called. Yeah. Can you please put on mute? So then various ways that the people in this world analyze this, right? The scientists analyze that. They say this is all matter and this all exists itself, right? And then, there are philosophers. They think that, okay, about the mind, this is because of the mind. They think there is no connection for this mind. It's just part of this body and this nature. And then also the Sankhya philosophy, the numerical or enumeration. That's what is the Kabbalah's, the Sankhya philosophy. Then in great details explains about all these material energies and material elements, right? So that we can see that there are many people discuss in so many ways, but they do not have this proper understanding. This is Krishna, is come from the spiritual energy, is come from Krishna, is come from the superior energy. So that's why because of the false ego, this ahanga is also the material energy. So when ahanga devours this entire living entity and the people in general, so what happens? They completely forget everything, and it comes to the stage called Maya. It's completely mentioned like that. So then there's all these material energies. So this is also Krishna's energy. Then another is called Jiva, right? That's the 5th verse of this chapter is refers to the Jiva. So Krishna is revealing this. Apareyam idastu manyam prakratim vidime param jiva bhudam mahabhago edam dareyet jagat. Besides this, O mighty armed Arjuna, there is another superior energy of mind which comprises the living entities who are exploiting the resources of this material inferior nature. So it's clearly revealed here who is this, the jiva, or this the soul, the spirit soul, right? It's very clearly mentioned that besides this material energy, besides this earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and ego, besides this, there is a spirit soul that is called Jiva Bhudam. O mighty armed Arjuna, there is another superior energy of mind. Another superior energy is a Paraprakriti. So living entities actually belongs to the superior nature. That's what Krishna is revealing here. So this is also another energy of Krishna and Krishna's potency. That's why in the 15th chapter, 7th verse explains it that, it says that all living entities are, my eternal part and parcel, right? Jiva Buddha Sanadana, right? Eternal, all the living entities are, the Jiva Buddha means all eternal living entities are part and parcel of Mame Vamsho Jiva Loge Jiva Buddha Sanadana. Mame Vamsha, that means is Krishna's part. It's not Krishna didn't say this is a material energy, part of this material nature. Krishna says all living entities are my part. Mame Vamsho Jiva Loge Jiva Buddha Sanadana. Like that Krishna is revealing here, this energy of mind, that is the living entity, which comprise the living entities who are exploiting the resources of this material nature or inferior nature. So here it is that living entity is discussed as the superior nature. That's why we are exploiting this nature, because of we are superior in nature. We drill this earth. We, everything, we, resources, all the resources is under the control. We tiny controllers on this material world. Why? Because of we are superior in nature. Then we come to this understanding of that, there are many ways we can see that how the living entities are superior in nature, right? So we try to exploit this material nature, and in various ways, like um, in the example Srila Prabhupada gives in the purport, when a spirit soul enters into the mother's womb, right, then what happens eventually, because of the presence of that soul, it develops that from the baby, develops to the baby, in the form of a baby, then baby to the, the youthhood, and then childhood, and then childhood to the youthhood to the old age. So why? Because of the presence of the soul, that is all develops. If the presence of the soul is not there, nothing happens to the material world or material nature of this body. So in this case, this example gives, Srila Prabhupada says that, then we are superior because of that superior nature we have. That's why everything happens accordingly, right? So and in the conclusion, Bhagavad Gita confirms living entity to be the one of the multi energy of Krishna, right? This Krishna's energy, or that is superior energy, not the inferior energy. That's why Srila Prabhupada gives that understanding. When the living entity belongs to the superior nature, or its living entity is known as marginal potency of the Lord, or Tadastha Shakti. When living entities come in contact with to the inferior nature of this world, or inferior energy of Krishna, or material nature, which is known as the incompatible situation. But when this marginal potency belongs to superior nature, come in contact with the superior nature of the Lord, or spiritual energy of the Lord, that is a compatible situation. That is the so like Srila Prabhupada gives an example, a fish out of the water. And there was a question why people are living entities are suffering in this world, because of this is not the natural place for a living entity, because of the living entities are belongs to the superior nature. Like a fish take out from the water and put it on a land, it is suffers for struggles for survival. So like that, we are suffering here in this world for survival. Duality, heat, birth, death, old age, and disease, heat, cold, pain, pleasure, all these dualities, because of we are not in our natural position, natural world. So that's why, so its living entities are the energies of Krishna. Then we come to the understanding that the Ishvara, the sixth and the seventh verse, right? This is a very important verse to understand. And it says that edad yonini bhudani sarvanidi upadhareya agam krishnasya jagadaha prabhava parlastada pralayastada madaha paradaram jnanyat kinjidastadhananchaya mai sarvamidam prodam supre maniganaiva. Krishna reveals that all created beings have their source in these two natures, of all that is material and all that is spiritual in this world. Know for creation certain that I am both the origin and the dissolution. Or conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as a pole strung on a thread. Dear devotees, how beautiful it is. It reveals that the absolute truth and the transcendental knowledge. All created beings have their source in these two natures. All created beings, the spiritual as well as material. What is that nature? The material nature is temporary, but there is an eternal nature, that's our spiritual nature. Because of our material entanglement and attachment, we come to this material world and stay here. But we all have that our existence in both the spiritual and material. And what is that? Is all Krishna's energy. So Krishna has, then in one sense, we can see that there are only two things in this world. One is Krishna, another is everything is Krishna's. Krishna and Krishna's. Everything is belongs to Krishna and Krishna's. Right? Everything is Krishna's, or everything is belongs to Krishna's. Only two energies. Like, there was a poet, he was writing here. Oh Lord, you are the creator, and you are the ingredients for that creation. That's why we come to that understanding. He's the cause, and he's also an effect. And we see that in the further verses. It's very beautiful that we see that this we come to that proper understanding, Ishvara Parama Krishna and all. Then we come to the eighth verse, and this is from 8 to 12, which reveals that Desoham apsu kaundeya rosami sashi suryaha pranava sarva vedeshu shabdahe purusham nashu. O son of Kundi, I am the taste of water, the light of the sun and the moon, the syllable Om in the Vedic mantras. I am the sound in the ether, nobility in man. And it reveals that Krishna explained further in the following 4 verses that he is the essential or the maintaining principle of various manifestations. We should appreciate Krishna not really as the cause, but also the essence of everything. Dear devotees, this is the very proper understanding we should have. It's not only for the cause, and he's also the effect and also the essence of everything. So just for an example, Krishna is revealing here, I am the taste of water. Did we ever think about that? Water has a taste. How do we have that understanding, right? We have the spirit soul within us. The water is kind of a liquid and it's all manifesting there. And when we drink the water, it's quench our taste and it gets the thirst. And there is a taste of the water. And it reveals to us there is a fragrance for this earth, all these various elements here. And as we know that just we put a seed right in the soil. What happens? It may be very tiny. And then from that seed itself, it creates the roots, right? And with the root come from where? That seed. The seed is the cause of that root. Now what happens? That the root of that seed actually absorbs the water and everything from the soil. Then what happens? That they become the cause of the growth of that the seed, and it starts sprout because it absorbs everything. And then it's become a tree. And then from that tree becomes that the branches. And then that branches becomes the leaves. And then that leaves and the buds become the fruits of that tree. Then what happens again? That fruit of that tree again create a seed, and then that seed again start this process. So where we can separate the fruit and where we can separate the leaf, where we can separate the branches, where we can separate the trunk, and where we can separate this from the seed of that the fruit, the seed of that tree, we cannot separate it, right? The cause and effect, that the seed is the cause, and that is also the effect of that seed is a fruit, and that fruit become the cause, right? So where we can separate this world. So dear devotees, this is the way we have to see things, everything. The Krishna is the cause of everything. And that's why Krishna is saying that I am the taste of the water, and he is also the cause of creating this water. What is the effect of that water? The taste, and it's conscious the taste. That is also Krishna. Why? Because of then only thing is actually which separate us from the Krishna, and understanding that we get to come to know that the freedom of our free will, that come to know that this is all Krishna. But when it's that free will covered by this external energy, then we don't come to that understanding. Then that is called illusion. That is called Maya, right? So this is very, very important to understand. Then we come to the understanding of, there is, Krishna is the taste of the water, and, the light and the sun and the moon and the Vedic mantra, and he has innumerable name and sound of either ability in a man. And, Krishna is revealing that he is everything, right? His original seed, aham bija pradapadaha, and as he said, intelligence of the intelligent, prowess of all powerful man, strength of the strong, and even that he is the regulated sex life, and which is not in contrary with this material world or the scriptural injunctions, right? So, and as Krishna is revealing in this chapter who he is. So Krishna is the cause and Krishna is the effect. He is the cause and he is the karana, and he is the karya. He is the karya, karana. He is the cause and he is the essence of everything. So this is the way he says that he is not only that the creator, and he is the essence of everything. And we should understand that. So only, dear devotees, when we hear from him, that we can come to that understanding, he is the essence of everything, right? So then we come to the third section. Krishna controls the modes of material nature, right? And so surrender. And Krishna, this comes from the Krishna's energy. It's very, very important. So this nature also, now we come to the modes of material nature in detail. So in the previous section, we were understanding about the material nature and about the jiva and the Ishvara, right? We were understanding that he is the cause of all the causes, even that's what is the phenomenal understanding and the noumenal understanding. And we are understanding the cause and effect. He is the cause of all the causes in this, everything that what it exists. Then we come to that Krishna controls the modes. So surrender, because of he is the cause of these modes of material nature. The three modes are Krishna's potency, which keeps the conditioned souls in illusion. So what is this modes of material nature? It's called guna, right? And to be free from their influence, therefore one must take shelter of him. Only unless and until we take the shelter of the Krishna, we cannot come out of these modes of material nature. And then freedom from modes depends on the proportion of surrender. As in the fourth chapter, Krishna says that Yada mam prabudhyante stam tadaiva bhajamyaham mama vartamanu vartante manushya partha sarvashaha. I reward them accordingly how they approach me. Everybody follows my path. So according to the degree of our surrender, that we free from the modes of. That's why if we are very little surrenders unto him. That's why we are into the modes of ignorance, or called tamoguna. Very little surrenders to him. Little bit in between, then we comes to that mode of passion. We are more in the attached to this material world. When we are, both in the, there is attachment, there are some detachment. That's why it is actually known as the mode of goodness. Then we, some degree that we come out of it's called pure goodness. And then when we come to the pure devotional stage, more attached to Krishna and more detachment from this material illusion. So in this says, we have now understand that Krishna is both the cause and the essence of everything. Krishna summarizes, adding that everything is under his control, including the three modes of material nature, which in turn control this world. So we know that pretty much everything is controls this material world is this in three modes of material. Everything is pretty much is under the modes of material nature. That is Krishna's another energy, or the material energy, that divided into three. That material energy or the inferior energy, that's the mode of goodness or sattva guna, or mode of passion, that's rajo guna, and then the mode of ignorance is called as the tamo guna, right? So this verse ends Krishna's discussion that his para spiritual and apara material energies. At this point, one may wonder why we are prevented from seeing, knowing, and surrendering to Krishna if he is in one way or another everywhere. Krishna answers this question in next two verses. Krishna answers this one. Why? Because of, as it's mentioned, that Prabhur Guna Mayar Bhave Egi Sarvam Idam Jagat Mohidam Nabi Janadi Mam Ebhya Param Avyayam. Deluded by the three modes of material nature, the whole world does not know me, who I am above the modes and inexhaustible. Dear devotees, now we understand that why there are people lack of this knowledge, people hesitating, people does not understand. People are started to say there is no God, my life is my God, my family, me, myself. All this, why? Because of they are deluded by these modes of material energy. When they are deluded, covered by and entangled by these modes of material energy, they may not come to this understanding. So why? Because they are bewildered by the three modes of material nature. And they think, on contrary, that Krishna is even under the modes of material nature, and the real position of Krishna is above modes and inexhaustible. He's supreme. He is the controller of everything, right? So then we come to the understanding that the 14th verse says that Devi Yesha Gunamai Mamaya Durataya Mameve Pravadhyate Maya Mevam Taramde. Unless and until we surrender unto Krishna, we cannot overcome these modes of material nature. So powerful. Why? Because of this is my divine energy. Krishna says that. This is a very famous verse. This divine energy of mine, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome. But those who have surrendered unto me can easily be beyond it. So only that one who has taken the shelter of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna can overcome. Otherwise, dear devotees, this material energy every day devour us. And we struggle like a person singing in the water. He is actually about to die in this material ocean. And he is in the ocean and deep there. because we cannot surpass the current, the strength of the ocean, right? Who anybody can overcome? No, we cannot. The force is so, like when you know that the December, I think 2006, the tsunami came up, right? There were everything. There were forts were there. Nothing can sustain in front of that tsunami, the great power of. So, like that, all dear devotees, we were actually swayed away in this very, very great ocean, the current of this ocean, the material energy in the form of these modes of material nature. Very difficult to overcome, but one who take the shelter, surrender unto the Krishna, Mameve Prabhadyante Maya Mevam Tarandi. Only those who are surrendered unto Krishna can overcome this, right? So that's what is Krishna is revealing here in this section. And then we come to the next section of it, that is told the impious never surrendered to Krishna. So in this verse, Krishna says that there are four people surrenders unto Krishna and four people never surrenders because of they are completely devoured by this material energy. Four kinds of men never surrender, and four kinds of men do not. Four kinds of men do surrender. Four kinds of men never surrender. Of those who surrender, the jnani whose material desire is best but rare. That means one who knows about the Supreme Lord is very rare, and he is the best of all this. That's why Krishna is revealing here. Chadurvida bhajande mam. So, namam dushkrudino moda prabhadyante naradhama. Maya abhruda jnana asuram bhavam asvadaha. One who is deluded by these modes of material nature. And such kinds of people are, there are four kinds of people. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, who are lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by the illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons do not surrender unto me. Because of they are completely devoured by, merged into this modes of ignorance, tamoguna. And then Krishna further reveals that there are four kinds of people, and there are a lot of mudas, means grossly foolish. They are so much attached to this material world, does not know whom to should work. They are like mudas, like the foolish. Mudha means foolish, stupid. Like a donkey. Donkey is considered as mudha, right? They don't know. They work like anything, like an ass, but little for the some little grass. So the such people are known as muda. They work like anything. They do not know what they are working for. Then they do not surrender unto Krishna because they are swayed away by this material nature and material desires. The Naradamas, that's called lowest among the mankinds, right? We know that there are people they eat and kill, and in so much of ways, they always try to satisfy their tongue and the belly and genitals. They are considered as Naradamas, the lowest among the mankinds. Then there are people is known as Maya Abhruda right? By these modes of material nature, and they are the ignorance or in passion or in the goodness, and what happens? They think that that's it. Maya apakridai, they are is stolen by their consciousness is stolen by that their knowledge is stolen by this Maya, the illusion. There are so many empirical philosophers, scientists, and so many people. They come up with their own concocted ideas, and they say that this is it. There is no God. Then they do not surrender. They have submit so much of ego. Then they come to asuram bhavamasudam. That means the demoniac nature, right? There are so many people that, we can see that the demoniac, they such a killing and so much of, untruthful and always unclean and always try to see bad in others and try to harm others. These are all the different kinds of people. They think that, that this world is for me. This is called asuric nature. And there is a chapter, 16th chapter, there we can see that all this. So like that, then we come to the four kinds of people worship the Supreme Lord. Who is that? Chadurvija bhajande mam jana sugurdina archana artho akincha surarthartik jnanina pardarshava. That means there are four kinds of people: pious people, and then adherent to regulative principles of scriptures, follow moral and social laws, more or less devoted to Supreme Lord. This is called Sugurdina, or there are pious people. They are, follows the prescriptural injunctions and their laws, and they follows that. They are devoted to the Supreme Lord as well. And then that's called Sugurdina. Sugurdina means good people, Sugrudi. And then these people are approached Krishna. And who is that? Artha. You mean Artha means distress. Those who are in distress condition. Artharthi, one who is seeking for wealth, one who is inquisitive, and then jnani, that means one who desires knowledge of the absolute truth. And Krishna says that one who is in the jnani, one who is desires for this absolute knowledge, is best among all of them. And who is the best of the four pious people? Krishna says that here, that tesham jnani nityayukta ega bhaktir vishishyade priyohi jnanino tyartam aham sacha mama priyaha. Of these, the one who is full knowledge and who is always engaged in pure devotional service is the best, for I am very dear to him and he is very dear to me. And one who knows the country, one who knows about the Supreme Lord, right? Full knowledge of the Krishna reveals that he is dear to such people, and such people are very dear to Krishna as well. So this is what is the importance of dear devotees. Understanding the knowledge of the Supreme Lord is very important. So such people are very dear to Krishna, and Krishna is very dear to such people. And then we come to that, all these devotees are undoubtedly magnanimous soul, but who is situated in knowledge of me, I consider to be just like my own self. So dear devotee is very important. That's why learning Bhagavad Gita is very important. What is the benefit of learning Bhagavad Gita? That we know about Krishna. Then what is the best among that? When we know about Krishna, then Krishna says that I consider just to be like my own self, such people. So dear devotee, Krishna will be always there. And that's why, even just one verse of Bhagavad Gita, one recites, Krishna says that I sell myself to that people. So it says that the conclusion, Krishna intimate relationship between Krishna and his pure devotees. The devotees are always in my heart and I am always in their heart. Devotees does not know anything beyond me and I cannot forget that devotee. The devotee is one who knows about Krishna. That's why the beginning of bhakti, that means that's why, when a bhakti, a devotee is there, even the liberation, mukti and bhukti is the subservient of that such people. Why? Krishna is very dear to such people. Then we come to the total understanding that Krishna is revealing here. Bahunam janmanamande jnanavan mam prabhatyande vasudevam sarvamidipsa mahatma sudurlabha. So such a devotee is one who is fully understanding me, one who is a devotee, one who comes to the devotional platform. For him, that Vasudevam Sarvamidi, for him, Vasudev Krishna is everything. Vasudev Krishna, not anything else. For everything, Krishna is everything for him. Such devotees are very rare. Then we come to the next section of this chapter, which is known as the surrender to demigods and impersonalism, right? And in this section, Krishna is revealing that demigod worship. Atheists have no knowledge of Krishna and perform no worship. Others engage in worship but have no knowledge of Krishna. Thus, their worship is indirect and imperfect compared to pure devotional service. Many people turn other highest forces to fulfill their needs for relief, etc., but not at all surrender to Supreme Personality of Godhead. Some turn to demigods, another turn to impersonal Brahman. Krishna describes four types of people who have knowledge, no knowledge, and therefore do not surrender. Now he describes that other types of people who do not surrender, but because they have very little knowledge, they surrender in imperfect way. So Krishna is revealing here in this section that the demigod worship, they have imperfect knowledge and imperfect little knowledge. They have the worship is imperfect, even though they worship indirectly, but ultimately it reaches to Krishna. But their ways are imperfect because they have less intelligence, right? Why their intelligence is stolen by material desires, their lack of knowledge of Krishna, and they do not know that Krishna is the source of everything, and likes that, right? So Krishna is revealing that the result of demigod worship are all perishable. It is temporary. So you get for some temporary benefits, you worship demigod, but that is not permanent, but it is perishable. But the results of devotional service to Krishna is unlimited and eternal. That's why, dear devotees, even a one step if you take, Krishna never, even a one flower you offer to Krishna, Krishna never forget that, because of that is eternal. And then we develop that bhakti from that point onwards, right? So then we come to the so then Krishna says that unintelligent men who do not know me perfectly think that I, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, was impersonal before, and I have now assumed this personality. Due to their small knowledge, they do not know my higher nature, which is imperishable and supreme. So it's very, very important to understand that, dear devotees, impersonalists, even the Mayavadis, Brahmavadis, they also do not know about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is also imperfect and indirect way of worshipping. Then this is a very famous verse in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is reveals that Naham Prakasha Sarvasya Yogamaya Samavruddha Modoya Na Bhijanadi Loko Mam Achamavyayam. I have never manifested to the foolish and unintelligent. See, listen this very carefully. For them I am covered by my internal potency, and therefore they do not know that I am the unborn and infallible. Right? So Krishna is revealing here that I do not never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent. And then we may ask this question, why foolish and unintelligent? Because of their abhakrita jnana. Their jnana is stolen by the illusory energy. Why it is stolen by illusory energy? Because of their material attachment. Why they are having this so much of material attachment? Because of their ignorance. So root cause of our suffering in this world is nothing but the ignorance, dear devotees. So it's all start from there. But then when we started to hear, we initially in the first page itself, we discussed about the benefits of all the impurities are gone. Then we come to that our proper understanding. Then we start to develop the devotion service under the Supreme Lord. Right? So the understanding is that Krishna never manifests to the foolish and unintelligent. So then we come to the last section of it, the bewilderment and freedom by knowing Krishna. So the people are generally bewildered by it. Living entities are trapped in the material world because of selfish desire. They can become free by cultivation of devotion and surrender to Krishna in full knowledge. The original sinful desire of the living entity is to take Krishna's position as the supreme enjoyer. The original hate towards Krishna because the living entity is envy. So we have this natural nature of envy and all these kinds of unwanted desires and all in our heart. So it's naturally it takes away from us Krishna. Then what happens? We bewilder in this world. That's why we are very fearful in this world. Anything happens to us, we are so fearful. But when we come to Krishna consciousness, that fear of this, diminishes. Why? Because of our detachment. Our attachment to this world is actually the cause of bondage and the cause of our fear. Abhaya Charanaravinda. When we take the shelter of Krishna, then there is Abhaya. Abhaya means there is no fear of death. So here we come to the conclusion that, come to the conclusion that we are coming to the last verse of it. Yeah. Yeah. The person who have acted piously or previous lives in this life and whose sinful actions are completely eradicated are free from the dualities of delusion, and they engage themselves in my service with a determination. So when one who taken the shelter of Krishna, they only their bewilderment is gone when they study, and then they only with this, engage in the loving devotion to determination. Why? Because of Krishna, then start to give that intelligence. Krishna reveals them, and then they gradually come to the platform of devotional service. Then only the ultimate point here, dear devotees, Krishna is trying to make that. In the last verse, as Krishna is saying that, yes, those in full conscious of me, who knows me, the Supreme Lord, to be the governing principle of the material manifestation of the demigods, and all the mothers of sacrifice can understand and know me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even at the time of death, right? Even at the time of death. So Krishna consciousness never diminishes. Even one steps one takes, it will be there as in the next chapter is reveals that who can actually remember the Lord at the time of death. So this is very important that, so only by hearing, so we'll come to the conclusion that, how one can fully understand Krishna by hearing from the Supreme Lord and from his devotees. As in the last section, it says that the living entity's bewilderment is caused by Maya's forcing him into see duality. So Maya's energy bewilders him. Then his freedom is caused by devotional service. Only we can free from this Maya's energy is by devotional service, and which places him beyond those dualities. That what are the dualities? And it's as he says that this duality arises from the sense perceptions, heat and cold, the pain and pleasure. This all arises from the sense perceptions. Then by being conscious of Krishna in devotional service, one can know him even at the time of death. That one can know, one can remember, and only by this process that one can know him or one can remember him at the time of death. The devotees, I took a little more time. I wanted to cover this. It's a very beautiful verse. And let me stop sharing. And thank you so much for personally listening this. And it's a very beautiful chapter. Hope I conveyed some kind of, some messages of Krishna that is actually that you can take away, take away and practice on that and understand. And as it's mentioned that the knowledge of the absolute, the devotees, Krishna is revealing that very beautifully in this chapter. And very nicely, Srila Prabhupada give us that in the deep, depth meaning of that each of this, and so that it purify our heart. And then what we need to do, take up this in our heart and try to understand Krishna, hear about him, hear from pure devotees of the Lord. This way, slowly, we can come to this bhakti yoga or the pure devotional platform. With this note, I would end here. Thank you so much, and Hare Krishna. Are there any comments? Anything would like to add? Any questions? Would humbly request and appreciate that if any comments, feedback, any questions you have.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, always to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all goes to Srila Prabhupada.
Prabhuji, it was a wonderful class, very nicely, like you explained the entire, the seventh chapter, like the deep understanding of the seventh chapter. I actually had one question.
Sure, please.
Yeah. So Prabhuji, like you mentioned, like it's there, like we say that Krishna, it's not possible for for Krishna to understand, because of the internal potency, right? Like there was a verse where it was mentioned like that.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to understand, like, that there are different potencies of Krishna, right? Like it is mostly what my understanding was. It's because of the external potency that the people get bewildered,
right,
and they don't understand Krishna. So why is internal potency is Radharani? So and it, like, she should bring us closer to Krishna, right? So what's the meaning of that verse, Prabhuji?
Right. See that the verse itself, right? That Naham Prakasha Sarvasya Yogamaya Samavruddha Mudobhi Na Abhijanadhi Lokomam Achamam. 7th chapter, 25th verse, that's clearly reveals that. Krishna says that I do not manifest to foolish and unintelligent. Why they are foolish and unintelligent? Because of they are covered by the modes of material nature, that's called external energy of the Lord. They are completely under the external energy of the Lord. They don't have any inclination, right? Because of their Maya, they are completely into this category of this mudhas, right? Foolish. Mudha means foolish. They're unintelligent because of why? Because of their extensive material desires. So when there is an extensive material desires, they're covered by this, internal energy of life, covered by my internal potency, yoga maya samavrita. So it is mentioned that we should understand that is yoga maya, when it manifests to the material world, it's called Mahamaya. Maya is one, right? Basically, Krishna's energy, and when it is manifest into the material world, is considered as the Mahamaya. Then when it is actually into the spiritual realm, is known as the Yoga Maya. So all the spiritual potency, like where we are hearing this Bhagavad Gita, is Krishna's internal potency. Otherwise, we will not hear, and otherwise we will be an external potency of the Lord. We will be playing within the material energy of the Lord. So hearing about Krishna, knowing about Krishna, understanding about Krishna, chanting of the holy name, engaging in the loving devotional service is all because of the influence of Yogamaya or the internal potency of the Lord, right? So that way, when it is covered, that internal potency, Yogamaya is covered, then they do not know the Krishna. See that the difference? So when there is anything that which we want to know about Krishna is because of the influence of internal potency of the Lord. So when it is not there, or the internal potency is covered, that then we do not know about Krishna. And then we will become, so that's why the intelligence, unintelligent and the foolish, the Yogamaya never takes place. Not that because they do not get the bhakti. So one gets the bhakti means, that means Yogamaya, because of the influence, because of Krishna's mercy also Yogamaya, internal potency of the Lord. Anything that we do in relationship with Krishna is internal potency of the Lord. That means Krishna is internal potency is acting upon us. But for the foolish and unintelligent, this doesn't take place. That means they are devoid of this transcendental understanding. That means Yogamaya is covers them. So that's why this Yogamaya, then it's the nature of Mahamaya, then gives that. Okay, Mahamaya takes them away. Why? Because of Yogamaya is not there, right? When Yogamaya is not there, but Yogamaya is covered, I have covered by internal potency, then what happens? Mahamaya takes place. When Yogamaya has there, like, when sun is there, then darkness cannot dissipate there. Darkness cannot come there. But when the sun is not there, what happens? Darkness comes, right? So the absence of light is darkness. So like that, the absence of Yogamaya, when Yogamaya covers, then it is Mahamaya, right? The absence of light is darkness. The Mahamaya, this material world. So that's why it is revealing that in this chapter, in this verse, that I do not manifest to the unintelligent and foolish. I'm covered by my internal potency of Holy Yogamaya, so that they do not know me, that I am the unborn and I'm ever existing and Ajam Abhyaya. So then the question is that why Krishna is doing that? Because of their attachment, their free will is completely for their own sensual and immense material attachment to enjoy Lodita or this material nature. Even if Krishna does that, what happens? They are actually, then they will not come to that point. Krishna never says that. Krishna never forces, right? As says even in the 6th chapter, Krishna says, that's my opinion. That means Krishna never indulges the free will of even the living entity. So my free will is polluted. My free will is that to be with Mahamaya. I don't want, many people, we go and talk to the people that, okay, come and take this satsang, chant the holy name. They say, no, I don't have time. So they have time for this Mahamaya. They are happy with it. So then such people happy with Krishna says, okay, you take that, right? So like that. So that I explained it or got it.
Yes, Prabhuji, a wonderful explanation. It's very clear now. So basically, the internal potency is covered for those people. So that's why they are not able to understand,
Yeah,
like Krishna. It's covered. So either one of the energies is prominent. That's what, like, either it has to be internal energy or internal potency or the external potency of the
external.
Lord.
Yeah, exactly.
So if internal potency is active, then like external potency cannot like enter. So I think that's what it means, right? Like what you mentioned.
Yeah, that is correct, Mataji. It's very true. It's very wonderful understanding that realization. Yes, that's when, especially in terms of Krishna, anything to relationship with Krishna, that's Yoga Maya's energy. Yoga Maya is acting upon, right? So Yoga Maya then takes, and then if it is not there, then it's Mahamaya. Then such people, the foolish Yoga Maya never comes into their picture, discovers, right? So yeah, okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much. Thank you for such a wonderful questions. Very nice. Anything else? Anybody else would like to add? Any other questions? Any comments? Anybody would like to add?
Hare Krishna Babu, Dhanavad Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam, all goes to Srila Prabhupada.
All goes to Srila Prabhupada and Dhanavad Pranam to everyone. Yesterday I wanted to ask this question, but
Yeah,
I wanted to discuss this question.
please, yeah.
Let's put in the. Um, you know that Prabhu pieces, we are step by step I'm talking about this. So we are the body, then mind, then intelligence, and then our soul and everything. So yesterday Prabhuji told that intelligence can control the mind but there is some bad intelligent and intelligent also polluted, right? Sometimes. So what do you think about this? Intelligence always pure or not? I think that intelligence can be polluted also, right?
Yes, Proji. Intelligence can be polluted. Yeah. Can you repeat that question again? I'm trying.
Yeah, so let's break this into pieces. Uh, so you know that we have the body, any body, not the human body, other body, and then we have the mind, and then intelligence, then our soul is there. So intelligence, yesterday Prabhuji told that, yesterday not able to ask this question to Gopi Krishna Prabhu. So intelligence can control the mind, but if that is a bad intelligence, how can it control? Haribol Prabhu. I think Prabhuji lost.
I'm sorry, Proji. Back again.
Yes, yes, no problem, Prabhu.
I missed that some part of it.
Yeah, so question is that if there is a bad intelligence, how can you control the mind? First thing, you cannot control the mind through the bad intelligent.
No, yeah.
So yes, so you need to purify again the intelligence. So that the process is the purify Savanam Kirtanam.
Yeah.
And what about the Bhakti process?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that is I had the question. Another thing, Babu, and there is a free will. Always telling that free will. What is
Free
that?
will, yes. Yeah.
Free will is the energy, or free will. What is that? I did not get any explanation about this.
Oh, free will. What is the free will of it?
Yes.
Free will of actually the independence of the living entity. Like for an example, like you have a son, right? Or father, parents have a son. Even though the part of the children is the part of that parent, a father or a mother, that doesn't mean that that the child itself is the parent, right? The child has a freedom to act. That's the law of this world, law of this nature. You cannot do anything to that child because of the child has a free will or independence, right? Even though the child is a part of that parent, but child is independent. So he is naturally he is subject to goes with the his own activity, his own way of it. So some extent we can control it, but the child is so adamant that I need to do it. So then parent says that okay, you do it that way. So then that parent may support it, may not support it. So this is all comes because of the child has their own way to do things. That's everything is absorbed in this world in that way. So like that, even though we are the children of the Lord, every living entity has their own nature. Like that's what it is, right? After 18 years of the child, then he is an independent person. Nobody can, even parents cannot have any control of that. Why? That's the nature of this world. Even a child, even a little chicken, right? After some time, it's like another chicken, and then everything act independently accordingly. So that's the nature of this world. Everybody has this free will, free nature, or the independent nature. So then they act accordingly. That's where this world sustains that. That means everything has, even though they are connected, related, but everybody has independent nature. Because of Lord is independent, that same quality, the living entity has it, independent nature. Okay?
Yes, Prabhu. That is a very nicely really explained. But I think that free will is the connected to the uh, spiritual desire, also material desire, right?
Yeah,
So
free will can be. That's why the Tadastha Shakti, that is called the marginal potency of the Lord. That marginal potency can be either with the material nature or with the spiritual nature. So that's why our free will, that we can decide. We have a choice. That's called choice. That whether to be with this material world or to be with the material spiritual world. That's why we
that
call
means,
the marginal potency.
sure, Prabhu. That means free will is not the intelligent.
Free will
So
is not intelligence, yes. But intelligence is actually part of that to decide to able to make that soul to be decide correctly. To in the, what is the definition of intelligence? To discriminate what is right and what is wrong. So a
Yes.
person discriminate good, that means he says he is the most intelligent. If a person is more attached to this material world, it says that less intelligent. That's why Krishna says, less intelligent person I do not manifest, but the most intelligent person who comes to me, that I'm always, he is very dear to me.
Okay, Prabhu, got it. That is the
Got it?
proper understood, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Nicely
Thank
you
you so
explained.
much. Hare
But
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. But
No.
one last point,
Yeah.
that means free will, as God has the independency, we have the minute independency, that is correct. But
Yeah.
free will is not the energy of the Lord, right?
Everything is energy of the Lord.
Okay, okay, Prabhu.
Nothing that which we separate from the Lord.
Okay,
Free will is actually a nature, is a way that things, right? A child is part of the parents, but child has that free will. But where it's come from, that's the soul. Soul is, then the part of the Krishna's energy. But this is another way of it, right? So like just there is a reservoir of water, we can channelize that water in different ways. So Parasya Shakti Vivideva Suyade, that supreme potency manifested in various ways. So this is the way, I mean, we can see that the cause and the effect is Krishna himself, but only the difference is that how do we utilize, how do we take it, right?
yes, Prabhu. Dandavat
Okay.
Pranam, Prabhu. Very nicely
That,
explained. Dandavat Pranam.
okay.
Hari Bol, Prabhu.
Haribol, thank you so much. Then let's conclude. Then today's session is way over 8:36. Don't want to hold devotees. If any other further questions, please put
Hare
it in the
Krishna, Simheshwar Prabhu.
Hare
Dhanwad
Krishna.
Pranam.
Dendo Pranam.
Nice class, Prabhu. Very
Thank
good
you so much.
explanation. Prabhu, I have one question. Like, though we know being a devotee, like everything Krishna's energy, but
Okay, so
when we
Prabhuji, can you hold on a minute? One person is actually at my door. I'll be back in a minute. Is okay?
yes, Prabhu.
Okay, I'll be
Hare Krishna. I think Simheshwar Prabhu got busy. Maybe he got some urgent work.
Yes, Prabhuji, looks like that.
Yeah, I think Mataji we can exit the class.
Yeah, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Prabhu, does anyone have his wife Mataji's number? Why is it taking so long? I hope everything is okay.
Yeah,
Or hey, Lakshmi, or what's his younger son's name? Not Krishna. If anybody has Mataji's number, you can just text it. I'll call her up.
I don't have the number, Mataji. I don't know if anyone has
Yeah.
the call.
Because why is he taking so long?
maybe Mataji something office work, we don't know.
No, he said someone came at the door.
Right?
Okay, let's log off and I'll try and get Mataji's number from somewhere and see. Okay,
I think
Prabhu is.
Or maybe,
So-
Mataji, you can call Prabhuji's number directly.
We
Maybe
did. We tried that. Amritan and Prabhu tried that.
oh, he
But
did not pick up Mataji?
no,
Okay.
because if you see both, he's logged in this call twice, right?
Yeah.
So that means he must have used both his phones or something for this call. But it was
Oh.
just ringing. Nobody was answering. Okay, we'll end this call and we'll try and get his number from somewhere or try again.
Yes, Mataji. Yeah. Definitely we should. Yeah.
Because it's been so long. Who'll be at the door for so long?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, he
no
knows
problem.
even that I'm in class, maybe something.
Correct.
We
No,
don't
but
know.
he knows the class is on, so he won't unless he had to go. I don't know. Because he was saying we were going to end the class, right? And then he said someone's at the door. Anyway. Okay. I think we can end this class.
Yeah, Mataji. Mataji, should we end up this class now?
Yeah, I think we can.
Yeah. Okay, Mataji.
Okay.
Hari
Okay.
bol. Hari Krishna, everybody.
Let's go. Vancha kalpa tarvasya kripa sindhave vacha patita nam
Patarabhyasya kripasindhubhya
pavane
vichapatitanam
Vaishnav
pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Vaishnav ki Shila
Jai.
Prabhupada.
Jai.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari bol.
Hari Bol.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat
Hare Krishna,
Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, all goes. Sorry, actually, there are some people who are
No,
here.
no problem, Prabhu. So we understood that there is some urgency. That's why Prabhuji, Prabhu,
Yugender. Yeah, Jagadish Singh Prabhu.
Jagadish Sinha Prabhu already told that maybe Prabhuji is busy,
Yeah.
and we can discuss later, Prabhu, if it is.
Yeah, we can discuss later. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
no
Hare
problem. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank you so much thank you so much, dear devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat.